So one evening while watching TV, I came across a story about prisoners in the U.S. prison system who have limited resources when they are let out of prison. There's a transition period when prisoners have served their time and they're let out. They're basically given a small amount of money, I think, maybe a change of clothes or something like that. They're given cars and I think resources for folks to help them. But other than that, they're not given a whole lot. So as you can imagine, the resources they're giving them, it runs out pretty fast if they don't hurry up and do something. So one of the things I saw was that a lot of prisoners were really struggling because the resource was just limited as far as pointing them in the right direction so they can get on the right path being lawful abiding citizens. So there was a huge issue with that. And the recidivism rate, which means that when the prisoners would return to prison, it was high. It was very high. And it's always been high for many prisons because they oftentimes get the criminal mindset and they can't get out of it. So recidivism rates are very high. You have prisoners in and out of prison like revolving doors. But the thing is, when it's time to release them back into the general public, oftentimes they're released back into a world they don't understand, resources that are limited, resources they don't understand, and so they end up right back in prison. And so there was, I think, someone on this television show I was watching. They were talking about how there need to be more resources in place for prisoners, especially those who really want to turn their life around when they got out of prison. So after reading this story the next day, I worked downtown Austin, and I was an exec working for the state of Texas. And so obviously I wore a suit and tie to work most days. And some days I would go across the street to have lunch at a little Japanese restaurant, which was really, really, really good food. And so on this particular day, I decided to go to lunch. Nice fall day. And I'm walking to lunch, and there's quite a few restaurants in that area is very known for state workers, where they go and eat lunch and things like that. And so as I'm walking, making my way up toward the restaurant, I see a guy coming, and for some reason I see this guy coming, but I see him stopping people. He's stopping and saying something to people, and I automatically, my bells started going off. Some homeless guy asking folks for money. I'll be honest with you, that's what I thought. And I said, he was making his way towards me, and I said, man, please don't come toward me. That was the first thing I was thinking. And I hate to say that, as someone who has a servant's heart, I'm transparent. I was in that moment saying, please, just don't come over to me, because I just want to just go eat my lunch, and going back to work. But he actually came on over to me. He came over to me, approached me. And he said, brother, he said, hey, man, look. And here's where it got interesting. He said, man, I just got out of prison, man. He said, I just got out of prison. And he said, somebody gave me some resources to get a job and everything, man, but I don't have money to go get the job. I don't have the money because across town I got to catch a bus. He said, when I had, I used to eat. This dude was literally telling me his story, and it was so genuine. It was so genuine. It was coming out of his mouth. It was like, wow, he was really, seemed like he was being honest. He wasn't scamming or anything. So I, without even thinking twice, said, no, man, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no cash on me, which I really didn't have no cash on me. I said, no, I ain't got no money on me, man. No, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. He said, all right, man. Anything, man, just $1, man. Anything. I said, brother, I ain't got no cash on me. I ain't got no dollar. So I just kept it moving, right? Something told me, Eric, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So what I did is I stopped. The guy had already started walking off, going somewhere else. I'm in a suit and tie. I'm talking to a guy that looked like he's homeless, but he just got out of prison. I said, hey, man, come here, man. Come here. Let me talk to you. Black guy, you know what I'm saying, had a bag with him and everything. He wasn't like dirty or filthy. He just like he had just got out of prison, just like didn't have anywhere to go. I said, hey, man. I said, look, come. I said, come with me, man. Come follow me. So he just like looked at me like, huh? I said, yeah, just come walk with me. So we walked across the street, and there's an ATM machine over near the restaurant that I go to, an ATM machine. So I said, hey, just stand right here, man. I'll be right back. So I kid you not, I go to the ATM machine, and I pulled out $40. I pulled $40 out of the ATM machine, two $20 bills. And I walked back to the gentleman and walked over to him, and we kind of walked a little bit, and I gave it to him, handed 20. I said, man, here, man. Hey, man, I said, man, this is what I told him. I said, brother, you know, I said, I don't know what you're going to do with this money, man. You know what I'm saying? But I know why I'm giving it to you. You know what I'm saying, brother? I said, I'm a real one, man. I'm a real one. And by that, I let him know I'm a true public servant. So don't get it twisted. I'm a true public servant. And the guy looked at me. He just like his eye just got big. He couldn't believe it that I would just go to the ATM machine, give him $40. But it was, remember that evening prior to, I just saw that show about the same type of story, and it was right there in my face. And so I never forget, the guy looked at me as I started to walk off. He said, man, he looked. He said, man, where you from? I said, I'm from Fort Worth, man, Funky Town. Funky Town is what they call it. You know, I had the suit and tie on, but I started getting Funky Town. My Funky Town language is, anybody know Funky Town? That's my homegrown language. You know what I'm saying? So I was going there. I said, yeah, I'm from Funky Town, man. You know what I'm saying? Say, man. I said, man, don't let this suit fool you. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Stop Six. Stop Six. Anybody know Fort Worth, Texas? That is the bottom up in Fort Worth, Texas. What some call the bottom, I call it the top, because a lot of culture and a lot of love. But I'm from Stop Six, home of the famous coach Robert Hughes. And I let him know that, and he was like, man, he said, man, I ain't never met nobody like you before, man. He's like, man, he said, man, you a real one, man. You a real one. I never forget, man. I never forget. I kid you not. The dude started walking off. I'm walking off. He just kept looking back at me. Like, he just kept looking back. Kept looking back. Like, man, you a real one, man. You a real one. And it made me feel so good because I know that in that moment I touched that man. I know I touched him. Not because of the money, but because of, I made that connection with him, knowing that, he had a situation or potential situation that I really didn't know. But I was willing to lend my fellow human being a hand in that situation. And so I think he looked at me as someone who truly has a servant's heart, because everybody ain't gonna take you to the ATM machine to give you $40 like that, and you come up and ask them for $1. Everybody ain't gonna do that. But in that moment, I said, I think this $40 is gonna go a long way. I think it's gonna go further than what he can spend. This $40 may even be my ticket to get into heaven. Hell, who knows? But that may be the price of the ticket, $40. If it is, I paid about $40. But I just thought it was an interesting story to tell, because you never know, man. You never know how you can impact somebody. And you can't worry about whether you'll impact a person. You can't worry about whether you will. You just have to impact the person. The only way you can do that is by taking action and helping your fellow man or woman. Y'all take care.